Britain is urging the U.S. Congress to approve reforms at the International Monetary Fund that would give more power to emerging economies at the institution. In a recent public address, British Finance Minister George Osborne said, quote, "The failure of the U.S. Congress to ratify the agreed IMF reforms is bad for the institution and bad for the international community. I urge the administration and Congress to act to pass them now." Most of the IMF's 188 member nations have approved the reforms, which were originally hammered out back in 2010. But opposition from the House and Senate Republicans have blocked efforts by the White House to pass the reform. Experts say it's crucial for developing nations to have a seat at the table.
The main rules of the game internationally on how countries are supposed to deal with their currencies, on reserves, on sort of the big questions in international finance are really negotiated out at the IMF. So for these countries who had not had much of a voice in the international rules of the game when they were substantially smaller and poorer than they are now that they've grown so rapidly and their economies are so large, they want a seat at the table. They want to be able to participate in shaping the rules that they will partially have to live by.
If the U.S. Congress gives the reforms a green light, it would make China the IMF's third largest member. It would also revamp the IMF board, reducing the dominance of Western European nations. U.S. lawmakers are concerned about relinquishing power to some emerging economies.
First, Congress is traditionally fairly skeptical about international institutions, and that's been true since the founding of the international system. Second, there's a lot of skepticism about China's intentions on issues like currency reform. And third, now, unfortunately, there's a lot of concern about Russia. And because this package was negotiated in a context where sort of all the emerging powers see their shares rise, there's now a new preoccupation about seeing Russia's share rise, even though Russia's share will rise by a tiny fraction.
Tracy Tandon, CCTV, Washington.